Are we flashed up? Everybody ready to go? Okay, welcome and good evening, everyone, to the regular council meeting scheduled for Tuesday, October the 20th. It's currently 7 o'clock. We don't have a big agenda tonight, but we will make the best of it. I'd like to call the meeting to order. The meeting's proceedings will be broadcast via YouTube and available as a recorded archive on the village website. So I'd like to call the meeting to order. Approval of the agenda. The recommendation would read
that the agenda be approved as circulated.
Someone to move that? Moved, seconded. Any discussion? See none? All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Public input. Note the public is permitted to provide comments to council on any item shown on this meeting agenda. 2-minute time limit applies to speakers.
Well, actually, it's on the last one. I wanted to say something.
You don't have anything to say on the approval of the agenda. I'm sorry. Would you like to participate in the public input for anything on the agenda?
No, I'll just...
Okay. Move on then to delegations. We have none. Adoption of the minutes.
Mayor McEwen, I do have one submission that was submitted by email.
Sorry, for public input?
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
Thank you. So I do have one submission this evening from Linda Weinberg for public input, and it's regarding comments for council on the budget for the new building. So the email is high level. I think where I would end with this is that we need to have a sustainable level of property taxes such that living in Anmore is reasonably achievable by the average family and doesn't become an estate community with a non-diverse population. Backing in from that, I would hope that the new village hall is not overbuilt beyond what we need, that we seek to use government grants and programs to the greatest extent possible. There is a funding model which allows the village to pay this off over time, 10 years or more, utilizing the funds that we've accumulated already. And finally, that the net financial impact to homeowners is modest, given substantial property tax increases of the last few years.
Good. Thank you. Okay, now we'll move on to the adoption of the minutes. Minutes of the regular council meeting held on October 6, 2020. Could I get someone to, or the recommendation would read? Sorry.
That the minutes of the regular council meeting held on October 6, 2020 be adopted as circulated.
Someone to move that? Moved, seconded. Any discussion? See none. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Is there any business arising from those minutes? No. Move on to, there's no consent agenda, no legislative reports. 11A new business, Community Economic Recovery Infrastructure Program grant application. Report dated October 14th, 2020 from our Chief Administrative Officer is attached. Ms. Halliwell.
Thank you very much, Mayor McEwen. So this item is coming forward seeking approval from Council in order to apply for a recent grant program that was announced by the provincial government. So on September 24th, as part of the BC Restart Plan, the BC government announced the Community Economic Recovery Infrastructure Program. This is a fund that allows for 100% of the eligible project costs to be funded from the province. So it's it's a great grant program in that regard. Usually there's at least a portion that's expected to be funded by the municipality, but not in this case. And project values will be supported up to $1 million in cost. So reviewing the guide, there is one stream that I believe we have a project that's essentially shovel ready for. The stream is the Community Economic Resilience Stream, and it's looking essentially to provide local jobs for people to undertake construction work, and also to provide enhanced outdoor areas for people to be able to gather and recreate that's in a safe, sort of COVID-friendly outdoor area. So if you'll recall, a couple of years ago, the village issued a tender for enhancements to Spirit Park, and that project included the regrading and drainage improvement for the upper portion of the park, as well as the relocation of the playground equipment that's existing in the park now. And when the tenders came in for that, it did come in a little bit higher than was anticipated in terms of the budget that council wanted to spend. And also we recognized that we were moving ahead with the Anmore Community Hub project at the time, and thought that it may be better suited to do as one project, or at least around the same time. So those tenders, when they came in early 2019, were of a value, the lowest value was about $292,000 for the work. And so what I've done is had a look at what the construction inflation might be, and also included some upgrading of our playground equipment as opposed to just the relocating of the existing equipment to fit in with this program. So I've got a recommendation here that council directs staff to apply to the Community Economic Recovery Infrastructure Program, Community Economic Resilience Stream for the redevelopment of Spirit Park project for a total project cost of $450,000 and confirm the village's willingness to provide overall grant management should the application be successful. And I should just note that the application period for this is quite quick in terms of the turnaround. The applications are due on October 29th.
Good. Could I get someone to move that recommendation? Moved and seconded. I'll open up for any discussion. It's an amazing grant. Councillor Wevering.
Yeah, I think it's interesting with this grant. I mean, I totally agree. We have a shovel-ready project, and I know we may be disturbing that area because we talked about at the Finance Committee meeting yesterday, septic. We may have to upgrade that. Would, of course, be separate. But it's interesting. I mean, part of our long-term plan for Spirit Park, and I don't know when we're going to do it, is to remove basically remove asphalt, reduce asphalt and create more park. I wonder if this would tie into that. It's interesting that they want to... this is encouraging us to do something like that. And what they've learned with COVID is park isn't as big as it used to be with all the social distancing. So anyway, I just thought that was just an interesting tie into what we're trying to do already.
Councillor Trowbridge.
Just a quick question, Julie. I read through it, but could a bridge over Mawson Creek qualify as well? Is there a stream for that? Get it?
I do. That was,
Okay.
yes, thank you. I didn't look at the specifics for the bridge project to be considered as part of one of the streams. It may very well. It certainly would encourage more outdoor use, which I believe part of this program is encouraging. I think in terms of the quick turnaround for the grant and the fact that the Spirit Park enhancements were designed through engineering already because we had been through the tender process was why that one had sort of jumped up in my mind in terms of its suitability.
Good. Any other comments? I just, with the comments that Councillor Wevering and Councillor Trowbridge had brought, I'm wondering if it would make sense to maybe just tweak it and go, this, of course, is our first priority. But additional to that, if there are additional funds available, certainly I think as Councillor Wevering, the redesign of and the amalgamation of 3 park parcels would be something that we should throw in, because if they are offering up to $1 million, it'd be great to get as much of it we can. And then third would be a crossing over a minor creek, and maybe we don't put any technical, we just throw it out there that would connect the village from a north and south aspect. Would that be possible just to add into the grant, or?
I think we could
application?
certainly consider adding in the road realignments. I'm
Okay.
not sure how much of the project itself would be eligible. I know there's some changes that we need to make in terms of road dedications and things like that, but I think there could be an element for sure
Okay.
that would be included. This program does allow for 2 grant applications per municipality, so we could also consider the bridge. However, again, with resourcing, we may be able to bring in some extra administrative staff to maybe help put the applications together, because they do need a base level of information in terms of costs and things like that to submit with the application itself.
Councillor Trowbridge?
I wonder if, I know it's very rudimentary and pertains to other experience from ISL, but I wonder if Chris Boyd has something that could be fleshed out a little more to help. It'd be worth talking to him with respect to the bridge only, not the road alignment.
I could certainly follow up with him for sure. The only other caution I would have is if we did submit 2 applications, I wouldn't want it to detract from the one that I think we may have more success in, and so that paired with the fact that we don't have the detail on the bridge project at this time may lend itself to it not being the right time to go forward with that. But I'd be happy to follow up at Council's direction with Chris Boyd and see if there's something we could pull together.
I kind of agree with what Miss Halliwell said. We've got a project in regards to the creek crossing that's very much in its preliminary kind of stage, and so I think we should stick with, of course, what you have here, but I would add on to it the additional of the roadworks, because we already do have all that engineering and drawings all ready to go with it, and price tag as well, which would take us up closer to the $1 million mark, if that's
I
possible.
could certainly add that in too,
Perfect.
and maybe just make a comment that it seems to me that through these economic recovery programs that, pardon the pun, the money does seem to be flowing right now, so perhaps we can do some additional work on the bridge, and there might be another opportunity that comes up in the coming months.
Good, good. Good,
The
good.
stream of money is flowing.
So do we need to change that recommendation, just to a friendly amendment to, so it's been moved and seconded, but maybe a friendly amendment to also, for redevelopment of Spirit Park project and the road realignment, for a total project cost of,
Not to exceed $1 million.
or not to exceed $1 million, and confirm the village willingness. So if that's fine for an amendment to that motion, could I get someone to move that amended motion? Moved. Second. I guess we should first of all withdraw the first motion.
I'll turn to Ms. Elric.
If you're going to move the amendment, you can make a motion to move and second the amendment, vote on that, and then you would vote on the motion as amended, so you can keep the first motion
Okay.
on the table as
Okay,
well.
so we've got moved and seconded the friendly amendment. I'll ask any other discussion. Call the question. All those in favor on the amendment? Okay, carried unanimously. Now I'll move the original motion as amended. Someone to move that. Moved, seconded. Any discussion, further discussion? See none? All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you, and thank you again. Okay, now we're on to item 12. The October 19th, 2020 Finance Committee meeting, the committee recommended to council. So we have the Strong Road culvert replacement. Ms. Halliwell.
Sure. So yes, just following the Finance Committee meeting that we had last night, there were two recommendations that were recommended to be forwarded to Council. So the first one is in relation to the Strong Road culvert replacement, and the recommendation is that Council approve a $50,000 budget for the replacement of the culvert on Strong Road.
Can I get somebody to move that? Moved, seconded. For anybody watching us at home, please, you can reference the finance meeting that was on YouTube last night. There was an extensive discussion and report that went with this, and discussion in that. So I'll open up to council. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I just have just a point of
Councilor
order,
Weber?
and I just want to make sure we're doing it all right. Since the agenda was issued on Friday and we're making a change to the agenda, that's procedurally we're okay. I'm sure you've looked into this 100 times, Karen.
Yeah, thanks, through the chair. We did put as an agenda item on the face of the agenda that we would be bringing forward recommendations from the Finance Committee in anticipation that a recommendation would be coming forward, so the agenda is fine.
Okay,
Okay.
good.
Thank
That's
you.
all I want to know.
Seeing no other discussion, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. And then we move on to the 12B, Anmore Community Hub funding options. The recommendation would read, Ms. Halliwell?
Yes, thank you. That Council directs staff to begin the process to seek approval for participating in the MFA Spring 2021 long-term borrowing, as outlined in the Metro Vancouver letter dated September 23rd, 2020, for up to $2.5 million, and that Council allocate a minimum of $3 million and a maximum of $5.5 million to be funded from the Capital Reserve, developer contributions, and approved grants to fund the Anmore Community Hub project, and that Council supports the Anmore Community Hub project and commits to its share of the Anmore Community Hub total estimated project cost of $8 million, with $2.5 million being applied for through the Investing in Canada infrastructure program.
Okay, could I get someone to move that? Moved, seconded, and I will again reiterate to people watching this tonight that there was a very extensive conversation with the entire Finance Committee had on this subject last night, probably encompassed of close to an hour of discussion and reports and debate, and as well we had our financial consultant Nancy Gomerick on the line as well, discussing the financial position of the village at this point. So I'll open up to council. Any discussion? Further discussion? See none? I'll call the question. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Now we'll move on to the mayor's report. Couple things. First off, as you all know, this year we had to make a difficult decision to cancel Murray Day, and as a result, we could not present the annual Community Spirit Award at our event, as I normally do. However, as council, we still wanted to recognize a highly valued volunteer in our community. On behalf of council, I would like to take this moment to recognize Cheryl Parton as the 2020 Community Spirit Award recipient for her outstanding dedication to the teachers, families, and most importantly, the children that attend Anmore Elementary School. I would like to share a few details about Cheryl. Approximately 4 years ago, Cheryl was the visionary for transforming a 5,000 square foot undeveloped portion of the large gravel field and forested area behind Anmore Elementary School into a multifunctional outdoor learning and natural play environment. She was a champion behind fundraising for Anmore Elementary School's Nature Learning and Play Space project that was completed this summer and will continue to offer a safe outdoor learning space for teachers and students to enjoy for years to come. Cheryl has been an integral member of the Anmore PAC for many years and spearheaded multiple fundraising efforts to raise an extremely substantial amount of money while facing many unforeseen setbacks and challenges along the way. In addition, Cheryl has become a block watch coordinator throughout her neighborhood and was also involved in fundraising efforts to help a local family during a very difficult time. On behalf of council, staff, and our community as a whole, we would like to thank you for your continuous efforts, dedication, community service, and show our appreciation for many years of service. Thanks to you, the village has an education outdoor play space for not only the students of Anmore Elementary, but for all the children in Anmore. And I'd like to say a big congratulations for Cheryl. Thank you. Any other members of council would like to say anything?
I'll just add to that. I've known Cheryl for years. She lives in my neighborhood. She's one of the most active members of our neighborhood. She's an organizer. She's a get things done kind of person. Everybody knows Cheryl. I don't think it's been announced, but there's always a pumpkin carving at her place this time of year. She's just been an amazing member of our community, our smaller community in the Alderway subdivision. So I'd personally like to thank Cheryl for her enthusiasm and her constant positive attitude. Like I said, she's a doer. She gets things done, and it's just a pleasure to spend time around her.
Good. Well, thank you. Okay. I'll continue on then with my mayor's report. I guess we will be sending the certificate out, or it'll be for pickup, or?
Yes, we will be arranging to make sure
Okay,
that Ms.
perfect.
Parton gets it.
Perfect. Okay, I just want to add a few things in my mayor's report. First off, in the news today, I don't know if it's news to most people, but Kevin Desmond, the head of TransLink, has said that he's going to be leaving next year. Kevin is a U.S. citizen. He certainly still lives down just outside of the Seattle area and commutes up and forth for work. So I'm not surprised with it, but he has been a great stabilizing force in TransLink. And he's certainly brought a lot of respect and confidence back to the TransLink organization. I also wanted to comment that the roadworks are progressing very well. We're working on some of the culvert work right now at the north end of Sunnyside, and then the trail pass will be commencing after that. Council and that we're having a real tough time with Halloween this year. Of course, we had to make the difficult decision of canceling the fireworks because of the inability to be able to maintain social distancing. However, in years past, we've closed off certain streets, and the fear is that if we do this, we're actually promoting these events, and the village can't have any part of this at this point in time. However, there have been some volunteers from the McCulloch subdivision that have come forward and said that they're going to man them themselves. We don't have the police to be able to do it. It is on a Saturday night, as well as the public works. So I'm hoping to hear from some people in the Ravenswood area. If you could please reach out to either myself or the village, and so we can get an idea of what is planning on going on down there. Who is planning on having opening their house, putting the lights on. I've heard from quite a few number of people that live down there as I walk through the neighborhood that they're not planning on having lights because they don't want the interaction of people, and they don't want to promote people from coming here. But I think the biggest problem that we have is that these two areas traditionally have been sort of destinations from people outside of our community to come to. So I am concerned about it. I'd really, really like to hear from as many people in Ravenswood as what their plans are, so that we can then maybe take some, offer up some barricades and see if somebody down there wants to volunteer in regards to keeping the street blocked off for a couple hours. Chief Sharp did pass forward on to me an email today of just some of the planning that's going into work at the McCulloch subdivision, which is quite good. They're planning on having, they figure it takes about 45 minutes for the kids to work that specific neighborhood, keeping all the kids to that neighborhood, trying to make sure that friends and other people don't come in, and they figured it'll take about 45 minutes to go from house to house, and with social distancing and with and that. So they're really getting in front of this, and I just really wish, because I know the pressure that comes on the people in Ravenswood, and we'd really like to work with them. So the other thing I just want to reiterate, we had a really good finance meeting last night. Please check it out on YouTube. It's posted on the village's website. Really good discussion as to our financial position and also about the Village Hub moving forward. Tomorrow morning, I'm at the Metro Vancouver Budget Workshop, which will then lead into the Council of Councils this weekend, so with my colleagues. So that's my mayor's report. I'll now open up to Councillor's report. Oh, Councillor Cryer.
I just have a short report. Again, attending Council of Councils in support of Mayor McEwen, who is speaking, and Councillor Weberink is joining. And I also want to say thank you to the community for all of the donations that were dropped off on my front porch for the homeless. I did a shout out on the Anmore, kind of a 911 shout out on the Anmore Conversation Facebook page for rain gear and cold weather gear, and the response was amazing. I've already taken 2 loads, and I have another large load that I'm making arrangements to have a van pick up and take over. So it's done a lot of good for our homeless community. So thanks to everyone that contributed. And I can still take more. I have a few more days before I'm going to get the van out. So thanks. That is it.
I forgot to say one last thing. This Saturday, please get out and vote. It's at the voting will be at the Anmore Elementary School, the gymnasium. If you need to vote beforehand, apparently there is the old Mill House in Port Moody. You can vote out, just take your ID. And that's it. But please get out and vote. Practice your democratic right. So I'll now move it over to your Chief Administrative Officer.
Thank you, Mayor McEwen. Short one for tonight. So just to let everybody know that the fall utility notices will be coming out this week. And in with the utility notices this time around, we have a small promotion for the next open house for Anmore Community Hub. So that's going to be held on November the 2nd between 6 and 9 p.m. And similar to the last open houses we've done during COVID, we are going to require registration just to ensure that we can maintain physical distancing. The information's on our website if you need further information on that. And then as well, we're asking trades who might be interested in contributing to the project to come out and check it out as well. The presentation itself will be renderings of the recently approved design, and so it'll be a chance for people to sort of see it more in 3D than in the last sort of 2D boards that have been presented, so that's exciting. As mentioned, construction continues with the pathway work along East Road and Sunnyside up to Bunsen Lake, and again, those updates are on our website and our Facebook page as well, and that is all I have for tonight.
I was just thinking when you were talking about the open house on November 2nd, would it be a possibility to just put the school on notice that we may need to use their gymnasium that evening, for the simple fact that if we get too many people coming forth registering, it may give us a little bit more space if possible?
I think what we would likely consider doing is, I don't think it's the amount of space that we need so much as it is to make sure we can spread people out.
Yeah.
So if we find that 6 to 9 gets filled up quite quickly in terms of the November 2nd planned open house, we will certainly book another one shortly after, and we'll send that information out to make sure that everybody who wants to come out can. And of course, we will also be providing all of the information that will be available on site through our website as well for those people who may not be comfortable physically coming out. Because we're not sort of seeking any specific feedback for this open house, we're not planning to do any virtual event, but certainly questions can always be submitted to the Village Hall if anybody has any on the Anmore Community Hub, and all that information is available on a dedicated page on our website.
Good. Okay.
That's a good question.
Sure.
Do we know how far along the design is? Like, they're just going to do renderings, or have they got final floor plates, or do we know where they are?
We are going to be having a meeting next week. I know that they're hoping to have some of the detailed design pretty well finalized towards the end of next week. And so the renderings, from my understanding, will be, the exterior of the building, as well as, specific focus on the community room and the boardroom, and showcasing maybe a few of the uses that we heard people were interested in seeing for that community space.
Okay, moving on to some information items. We have some general correspondence from the Ministry of Children and Family Development regarding the Tri-Cities Children's Accord. We also have the Metro Vancouver Board and Brief for meetings held on October 2nd. So I'll now open up to public question period. If you could just state your name and address, please.
Charles Christie, 3295 Sunnyside Road. Well, I was gonna, on that last agenda, you guys are still playing around with this bear thing. I think you're wasting your time anyway, because it ain't the garbage cans that's just attracting them, unless you guys all want to give up cooking. Yeah, because every time you cook, the smells go out in the air, in most cases. So you guys, as long as you're cooking, them bears are going to keep coming. And they're going to take every opportunity. Doesn't matter about the garbage cans. It's just, I just can't believe you guys that keep on and on and on and on with this. And I hope you're not paying the conservation guys for coming here to educate you about it, because it's just plain common sense. That's with that. And the other thing here is that you guys are pushing this village hall and community center pretty hard, considering that in the future you'll have a heck of a lot more people to contribute to it. And I got a question for you, McEwen. When you told people,
Pardon me?
I got a question for you particularly.
Sure.
When you chose to do this heavy taxation trip, okay, and that guy told you that he couldn't do it.
I don't know what you're talking to.
Well, you mentioned it at a council meeting. You better, if I was you, I'd phone him and ask him why he told you that he couldn't.
I would suggest, Mr. Christie, that you go back home. If you have a computer, and you look at and review the Finance Committee meeting last night, because it
doesn't matter about that.
You have to let me finish, please. You will get the full story of where that funding came from and the plan that was in place. It was almost 14 years ago. So I would suggest
that's
that
irrelevant.
you, please, I would respectfully hope that you would look into it before you start making any sort of accusations.
I'm not making any accusations. Okay. What you did is at a meeting here, you stated that you were going to implement this sort of thing, okay? And when you implemented it, you asked the guy, you told this guy at some meeting you were at that you were going to implement this, and the guy told you that he couldn't do it. And he was probably from Vancouver, someplace like that, where they're a lot more educated than you guys are.
I have no idea what you're referring to.
Well, I remember it specifically.
Okay.
And
do you have any other questions?
No, that's about it. But
okay.
I would, if you,
thank you.
This guy over here can tell you. Just look up 362.
Thank you.
Because it's where this could go.
Okay.
You know what it means.
I'll move adjournment. Moved, seconded. Any discussion? See none. All those in favor? Carried unanimously.
I don't even know what he's talking